Welcome to Flightlines, the stories behind the stories told by the people who were there. Now, you may be wondering how this all began. Well, a few weeks ago, I was having breakfast at the EAA 1240 pancake breakfast, and I was sitting there with one of the airport board members and the deputy director of the airport, and I was saying to them, running my weekly column, and if there's some things you'd like me to highlight about what's coming up, like the vertiport or the new jet center that's being developed, let me know, and I'll be able to write about it. Well, they thought that was a good idea. Well, as I was thinking about it over the weekend, I realized the 800 words or less space that I have each week in the Highlands New Sun really doesn't give me a whole lot of space to really get into the nitty-gritty details. So I was thinking there's got to be a better way to do this. So that's how the podcast idea came to be. Now, the podcast really has three components. One is the interviews and the stories that we're going to be sharing and exploring. And the second thing is a web page that will allow us to give some greater depth and photographs, diagrams, maybe a video or two, but also a listing of all the published podcasts and the links to be able to pull them up if there's something you haven't seen yet or something you want to see again. And then a listing of all the topics and ideas we're going to be exploring. And then also we'll be sharing some of the background and the stories behind the stories that we featured in our programs. And then the third thing is a Facebook page, and that allows us to really have an almost in time or real time conversation with you about what we're doing and what we're talking about. And if there's something that you liked, we need to know that. If there's something that you don't like, well, we need to know that too. But going back to the podcast, there's really two components to that. One is the interviews and the people we're going to be talking with. But the other thing is over the last 8-9 years, I've written a lot of articles every week in the Highlands New Sun. Now, those articles had an idea, a theme, an idea, something that we were exploring. I entertained, informed. Maybe I challenged you about to think about something that maybe you didn't think about in that particular way before. But they always had some sort of point. And I hope that you brought something out of that article of value to you. So that's the same thing we want to do with the podcast. So we're going to be exploring those stories in greater depth. For example, behind me on the wall is a panelized picture of a B-17. Now, I believe that's the very same aircraft that I flew when we brought the B-17 to Sebring with the EAA B-17 Aluminum Overcast tour. And there's a whole story behind that and what happened when the B-17 was here and the surprises and the things we didn't expect to have happen that did happen in a very positive way. So that's another story of many that we're going to explore. Now, as time goes on, we want to make sure that we're doing, again, something of value. And we need to hear from you through Facebook or any other ways you'd like to do it, to let us know how we're doing. So thank you for tuning in to Flightlines, the stories behind the stories by the people who were there. And thanks for tuning in again. Have a great day, and may God bless.